Hi everyone, welcome back to By Ramya, where I document my journey to impacting 1 billion people in 10 years. I am 3 months into the challenge now, and one of the major things I realized is I have to switch my framework in terms of how I operate if I want to impact 1 billion people in 10 years. And so this video is going to be all about my mindset shift and how I'm actually planning on achieving this. So, number one, what framework am I going to use? What kind of reasoning am I going to use to achieve this challenge? One thing I realized was that I was using the wrong kind of reasoning to figure out how to plan things in general. I use this thing called forward chaining, which is essentially you go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to step 4. And so basically, I would say I'm great at this. Forward chaining was me going, oh, I need to, get into my dream university since I'm in high school right now, and then I'll work my way up through the political process, gain popularity somehow, and then become president of the United States and have an impact in that way. And this is the whole, I need power, therefore I will go for, a high position of power, and then these are the linear steps that will lead me to that. And so this challenge, the Impact Billionaire Challenge, includes me questioning all of my beliefs. And so what this means is I have to also let go of this POTUS dream of being president of the United States. And for any of you who watched my video where I asked Vivek Ramaswamy a question, don't worry, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not going to run for POTUS. I can still say I'm running for POTUS, President of the United States, in 2048. And I think I probably will run for political office at some point. And I will likely run for POTUS at some point. I say this because I see myself getting tired of politicians and saying, I can do this better than this person, whoever's in this seat, and I would just run at that point. But that also might not be the path I take if that ends up not being the most impactful one. So let's say I can somehow sway or influence politics through entrepreneurship more, through gaining power in some other way, then that's what I would do. So the problem with forward chaining, my previous linear thinking, is that it goes from step 1 to step 5. It assumes a linear pathways thinking. And then I also found myself losing sight of the why sometimes. Why am I go through the motions of doing all these things to get into the best school possible in hopes that one day I'll be POTUS? What is this? What is this all for? And so the solution to this is switching my framework to back chaining. And so back chaining is a different type of reasoning. I believe it's a deductive. And what we're doing here is beginning with the end in mind. And so the end is what we start with, which is impacting lots of people positively. I mean, that's the whole reason I used to be I want to be president of the United States. Basically, I just want to change the world and impact a lot of people positively and have, when I die, wow, I did the best I could to help other people. That's what I want to do. And so in this case, I arbitrarily chose an ultra high number, 1 billion people. Is there a reason for this? Well, simply because if I want to impact such a monumentally large amount of people, I need to completely change the way I do things. And so I read this book called 10x is better than 2x, or easier than 2x, which basically says it's actually the same amount of effort to achieve 10x your goals than it is to 2x your goals. And so basically what I'm doing is abiding by that logic because I'm using different frameworks in order to have a better impact. What this means in terms of back chaining is step 1 is starting with a problem with a large scope. So rather than saying, this is all the things I'm gonna do, these are the positions of power I need to hold, these are the schools I need to go to, instead I start with the issues. So what areas in which can I help people that are really impactful? And so these issues include things like world hunger. There's 957 million people across 93 countries who do not have enough to eat. Children's health and education. There's approximately 600 million children who aren't mastering basic math and literacy while at school. And while I haven't chosen any specific issues yet as to what I'm going to make an impact in, I'll make a video on that later, I realized, okay, I need to choose issues first and then go that way. And then this also changes how I go about just generally choosing my career steps, because previously I would think more linearly. Now what I'm doing is first thinking in step changes. So Sam Altman has this blog post where he talks about this. Basically, you want to figure out how you can create step changes in your life. So Sam Altman, for reference, is, a CEO of OpenAI, and he dropped out of Stanford at 19 to work on his startup for 5 years, then sold it, and then he worked at Y Combinator, and then became CEO, president of Y Combinator, and then he co-founded OpenAI, which you now know created ChatGPT. And so Sam Altman very much has taken this path of, step changes. The reason he's so impactful and powerful now is because he took the specific steps that would lead to outsized impacts on the world. And so that's essentially one thing I want to do. I'm not saying I want to be like Sam Altman in the sense that I want to start the next OpenAI. I just do want to have a step change career curve rather than a linear one in which I have a lower impact. I'd rather have an outsized impact on the world. And so it's going to be high risk, high impact, and very much hits based, where maybe a lot of the things I try won't work out, but the couple that do are going to have an outsized impact on the world. This also means I need to try lots of things, and a couple will work out. And again, not be afraid of failure. Just fail as much as possible to succeed as much as possible. Mathematically, that just means I need to try lots of things. I really need to step up my game in terms of that. And step 2, the second thing this means is I need to choose an entrepreneurial route. And that doesn't necessarily mean starting a startup. It just means that I cannot go about this in the typical traditional way. If I want to impact 1 billion people, I honestly don't want to go about a traditional way. So even if that wasn't the case, I prefer not to do it the traditional way. Choose an entrepreneurial route where I'm using first principles thinking and questioning, okay, well, I think I need to do X, Y, and Z in order to have this impact. How can I reverse engineer this to have a greater impact and maybe not do Y and Z? I can just do X. Basically, what this means is using my own brain, testing things out, and trying things that haven't been done before. Third, that means I forgo traditional linearity. If I go about a traditional linear path, it's not going to take me to where I actually want to go. Fourth, it means work on really impactful problems that impact a lot of people. So don't get bogged down in the minutiae is another thing I need to make sure I do. So if there's small things, just let them go. That's not the important thing that you should be focusing on. It's okay if you let some small things go, as long as you take care of the big important things, the big important decisions, and work on big important problems. Number 5, grow my network and brand. It's really important that as much as possible, I grow my network and brand, because the more I do that, the more I can impact people. That is just pretty common sense. I mean, if you look at what Mr. Beast does, the reason he's able to give so much away is because people keep watching his videos, which means he gets a lot of money, which means he has a lot of money to give away. And so grow network and brand. The reason he has that is because so many people watch his videos. It's really valuable. And so that is why. 6, work with the right people. I need to work with lots of people, and the right people who are positive and care about others. And so that made me some of you watching right now. Please reach out to me on LinkedIn. Also, don't feel bad about bugging me a few times if I don't respond to you immediately. I sometimes forget about my LinkedIn messages, and I get overloaded with messages, and you have to follow up with me. But yeah, very excited to work with some of y'all in the future, or just really cool people. Number 7, reflect on a daily basis. Reflection is going to be really key in this process, because when asking myself, how am I going to impact 1 billion people, it's going to be a continuous process of discovery and of learning. So I don't have all the answers now, nor will I necessarily. It's really all about figuring that out, and I can only do that if every day I learn more and I take more data points in, and I make decisions, and I evolve the way that I make decisions. Number 8, take care of health. My personal sustainability is key. So the whole point of this challenge is to, think on a long-term scale. And one thing that's really important, and I put this in my video about my biggest regret from high school, is your health. If you want to live, if you want to live a happy, healthy life, who would? I basically realized that I used to think that you couldn't have both, health and ambition together. You had to sacrifice your sleep, you had to sacrifice whatever in order to be really successful and impactful. That's not the case at all. And I think we're seeing a trend towards realizing this in especially really ambitious people. But in general, we're seeing the signs come out saying if you get more sleep, if you eat the right things, if you exercise, not only will your long-term health improve, which means that when you're 50 and you actually can make a huge impact because you have so much career capital, you can continue working for 10 more years to help more people, you know? Versus if you're 50 and you finally gotten to a point where you can help a lot of people, but like you need to retire because like you're so tired, well then what was the point, you know? And so it's really important for me. Like I don't ever plan on retiring per se. I mean, the only retirement I could see is like a career switch into becoming a fiction author, maybe when I'm 60, I don't know. Or something philanthropic, which I'm already doing. But yeah, I just never see myself retiring. That's just not something I really care about. And like what would I, like, it's perfectly fine for me to take breaks or just like not do anything. But I think what I'd rather do is take a lot of breaks throughout my life and, you know, not ever feel like, oh, I'm unhappy working, if I can help it, of course. But I don't want to retire. And so what that also means is I think I have a little more liberty in terms of, like, I can take breaks if I want to. I can take care of my health. I don't have a set goal of, oh, I need to, you know, save up for retirement. I don't plan on retiring. So yeah. Next is 9. Never give up on things that matter. Key to this challenge is simply not giving up on things when they get hard. But remember here, I say never give up on things that matter. That brings me to the 10th takeaway here. Give up things that don't matter. See, in order to impact 1 billion people in 10 years, I think perhaps this is the most important thing for me to really internalize and do, which is give up things that don't matter. What are things that I can cut out of my life and that will help me towards my goal? Because there's a greater likelihood that I will get more of an impact from cutting out bad things from my life than adding more good stuff, you know? And so it's important for me to give up things that don't matter, whether that be unhealthy habits, whether that be people I shouldn't be around, or just something like, for example, stress. I feel like I used to stress all the time for no reason, for little things as well. And so I've kind of given up on stressing. It's a weird thing to say, but yeah, I'm trying to now find the perfect balance between, okay, I'm not doing this for any external motivation. I'm not attaching my self-worth to anything. I just now have a mission, which is to, you know, help lots of people. And I don't feel anxious about it because this is what I want to intrinsically do. I don't know. I'm just in this new funk because I've never lived life this way, where I'm not anxious because I don't feel this impending doom. I'm taking my own path. Like, I don't have to depend on an employer. I have to depend on myself to make money and whatnot. But yeah, like I'm not trying to get a job. I'm trying to create my own stuff, and I know that will take time, and I'm not necessarily rushing it. And I also sometimes wonder, am I taking things too chill? Like, am I taking too much of a chill pill? But at the same time, it's like not like I'm doing nothing. Like I am enjoying work and I'm doing work, but I'm doing it in a way in which I'm working on things that matter and dropping things that don't matter as much to me. I don't know. That was just a lot of my random thoughts there. But yeah, so that was a little bit about my framework to impact 1 billion people. I'm now using back chaining. So starting with the problem rather than saying, oh, I need like a position of power and then I'll go from there and impact lots of people. I actually think this is probably something a lot of people in general have done in the past, like whether it be conquerors or like politicians or just entrepreneurs. I mean, I think a lot of people are attracted or seek positions of power because, I don't know, they feel like they need to validate their self-worth, and they also want power. And it's really important to first ask yourself what you're going to use that for before you jump straight into that. And so I'm really deconstructing my mindset regarding a lot of things and going back to, okay, the whole point of this is to change the world and to make it a better place in the ways it's not great right now. I want to have changed that by the time I'm older, or, you know, at least play my part in making it a better place and whatnot. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Leave me a comment if you have any thoughts. I'm gonna be doing a special for 1,000 subscribers, and one of the things I'm going to be doing is like an Ask Me Anything. So if you have any questions about my life in general, whether it's regarding like productivity, any reason, like any philosophical questions you have about life, or even questions about my personal life, I would be happy to answer. Just put them in the comments down below. Have a wonderful day.